Good morning, people. Well, let's start with the most important update. Wheels. Last night pizza, we had with Steve yesterday afternoon, and yes, I did finish it this morning for breakfast. I don't think there's a shame in that. Anyways, the DSG, this one is ready to go back to the customer. That's the prototype mount, the front mount. Everything is ready. We're just waiting for a couple of small bits, but I disassembled everything. Is actually in the car ready to be packed and all the stuff. Anyways, our father's MR2, which we use for mock-up stuff. Remember that everything that you're receiving, everything that is built, the exhaust system, the intercooler system or charge cooler system, the water pipes, the cold air intake system, everything is coming from that. That is the mock-up, that is the jig, that is where the stuff happens. So whatever you order, I said that before, but I'm gonna have to say it again. Whatever you order that you're gonna put on your MR2 actually came off an MR2. So there's no chance that something is not fitting correctly or something doesn't match a bolt or hole or anything. Everything is matched perfectly on the actual chassis. We're not using separated jigs. We're not using some, it should be there. No, everything comes from there. Every time, perfect fitment. Anyways, my turbo broke down on the van, unfortunately, yesterday. And, well, to be honest, it had a hard time. This is a VNT turbo. Some people ask what turbo I'm using, my 606 and also my 605 now. This is RHF55V turbo. It's a variable geometry one. And the problem with the variable geometry ones that this one, for example, because the engine is completely mechanical, there's no electronics, there's nothing to control VNT unless you go for electronics, clearly, is that the mechanical controller uses the vacuum and the boost pressure to compensate each other all the time, trying to open and close the vanes as they required. So the way it works that when you have no boost is full vacuum wins because again no boost, nothing to compensate against you, and the vanes are completely closed, simulating the exhaust housing to be as small as possible, so the turbo will spool like a very small turbo. When the boost starts to build up, gradually it fights the vacuum and the vanes gradually starts to open until obviously you reach the maximum boost. The boost completely deletes and overcomes the vacuum, and it opens the vanes completely. So that way the turbo will be simulated or will work as the biggest of the exhaust housing you can fit on that housing. The problem is that the moment you lift your throttle, you gas pedal, and cruising or down the hill or just braking or whatever, you lose the boost, the vacuum comes back on and closes the vanes instantly, and the turbo spools very quickly. One way this is good because the boost is always available, is always ready, is very reactive, is very quick to build the boost back on. Actually, sometimes on the high RPMs, if I'm going down the hill, I can see the positive boost with the engine braking. This is madness. Now, it's good one way, but the other way is not great because it's not great for the engine gases not to be able to go free out of the engine because, again, the exhaust side of the turbo is closed. It's not great for the engine. It's not massively bad, but it's not ideal. It's not ideal for the turbo as well because it does way more RPMs than is needed. So the life of the turbo is shortened, like we see in this case, and all that stuff. But it's one of the easiest way to control VNT turbo on a mechanical setup. So it's a good balance between the life of the turbo and the easiest of the system. I'm still gonna use it, so it's fine. The only thing is the van broke down yesterday, and I was convinced it was just a boost leak. So I had my race bike, had my rally bike inside, and because I couldn't drive the van home again, it's like, okay, there's two options. I'm gonna leave the bike inside the van, parked outside the workshop during the night. I'm gonna bring the bike inside the workshop and leave it here during the night. None of those options are available for me because my anxiety levels will just spike up and it will just adapt to my insomnia problem. Clearly, I wouldn't sleep if the bike was here, not with me at home. So, poor me, I had to ride my race bike back home yesterday. And turns out, Tenere 700 pulls wheelies in 4th gear if you match the clutch, if you match the RPMs, and if you match the suspension, compression and release at the same time. It does wheelies in 4th gear. Awesome. The problem is I only had my helmet with me, and the way I dressed is like a teenager pretty much. So I had my hoodie, my trainers, those shoes, and just a helmet. It genuinely looked like I stole the bike yesterday. I am surprised I didn't get pulled over. Good luck with that. Anyways, let's go back to the most important stuff. You had enough of this chittering and gum flapping. Wiring. A lot of people were waiting for the wiring, and I'm finally here because we had to gather some bits that the customers have missed to send us to us. Now the customers send us wrong stuff, so I had to gather more bits for him. So both of these customers having these wiring looms today done, but also I'm taking this chance and making a video. That's why my camera is there. Making a video of how to. So I'm gonna do it, and every step I'm gonna film it and show you exactly how to wire the 1.8 20 valve into the MR2. Finally, we're gonna use this engine here to show what's what, how to wire and everything, and also gonna show this one here because the wiring is already on and all the sensors are there because we don't have the sensors here. So between this and that mess here and the camera and a cup of coffee, I think I'm gonna need a fresh one. I should be able to show you, to teach you, and how to do it. Another note, this is very important actually. This is part of this stuff. Lots of stuff is arriving, and from I think about 2 weeks time, top, we're gonna have everything on the shelf like I promised before, like I say. So when you're gonna order whatever you're gonna want to order, either one set of engine mounts or just the exhaust or whatever, everything is gonna be on the shelf ready to be sent and shipped to you. So if you want the whole system, the whole setup, the whole conversion, no problem, it's gonna be shipped. The only way we're not gonna be able to ship immediately is that if you have a different turbo, like with the customer we had the other day, he had a bigger turbo, a different exhaust manifold, so obviously we had to modify the we're modifying the exhaust system and the boost system. But if you have everything stock, it's ready to be shipped. Otherwise, it's gonna be a few days waiting time. Besides that, everything goes ahead, good times, trying to tidy up the workshop slowly, and a lot of work ahead. So yeah, see you soon.